Okay. So job posting, so that is for data scientists, especially from 2014, there are a lot of huge openings we can see in the field of data scientists. So the scope is more, and we can see upper hand for the job posting for the data science, and even the package for the data science is huge. Okay. So next thing we are going to talk about some key stuff. Let me cover that in a high level, then we can talk more in detail in the models. So how we are going to solve problem in data science. So there are 5 kinds of problem solving that we can face in data science. Okay, so that's what we are going to cover. That's the key thing that we need to understand. So what we are talking here is how to solve problem in data science. There are 5 kinds of problem solving. Okay, 5 kinds. 1, let me give an example and then I can give the name for that. Is this X or Y? We call this kind of problem solving as classification algorithm. 2, is this good? This is called as anomaly detection algorithm. 3, how much, or we can say how many. This is a regression algorithm. 4, how is this organized? Clustering algorithm. 5th one, what should I do next? This is reinforcement algorithm. Clear? So if you take this is an example and this is the corresponding algorithm. So these are the 5 key algorithms we have: classification algorithm, anomaly detection algorithm, regression algorithm, clustering algorithm, and then reinforcement algorithm. So the first one, it's a kind of, is this X or Y? So a kind of a classification. That's why you're calling it as a classification algorithm. Is this good or bad? It's an anomaly detection algorithm. Okay, to detect whether it is good or not. And then how much or how many? It's a regression algorithm. And then how this is organized? How is this organized? Clustering algorithm, grouping. And then what should I do next? That is called as reinforcement algorithm. Okay, so these are the key algorithms that we are going to use to solve a problem in data science. Clear? Any questions, guys? We'll talk more in detail about this under the models, but we need to understand what are the key algorithm that we are going to use to solve the problem. Clear? Any questions? Shall we move on? Okay. So next we are going to talk about data science components. So what are all the different components that we have in data science? So we'll go one by one. First one is data sets. Okay. So what we are going to analyze? So data science. In data science, we are going to analyze what? Data. So for that we need data set, right? Meaning a data or a data set. Okay. So we need a lot of data which can be analyzed. So this data is fed into our algorithm, any one of these algorithm. It might be a classification algorithm, deduction algorithm, or regression algorithm, clustering algorithm, reinforcement algorithm. So we are going to use any one of these algorithm, right, to analyze our data, right? So this data is fed into any one of these algorithm or analytical tools, right, to get the filtered data. So we can get this data from various research conducted in the past, right? So we may have a data set stored in our enterprise DB, or we may have historical data results that we used from previous analysis or researches. So we call that as a data set. So data set is nothing but a data or a group of data. Okay. Second one is so we can use two things. Okay, so we can use programming and statistical language to analyze the data, but in general, for if you're going for a longer run, companies use a tool called as RStudio. So RStudio is a open source programming language and software environment. So it is a IDE, we can say. It's a programming language and an environment. This is used for statistical computing and graphics, and this is supported by R Foundation. Okay, so R is R is an open source programming language or a software environment, we can say. It is IDE, and this is used for statistical computing and graphics. Okay, and the R language is used in this the RStudio, right? We are calling this as a IDE, like Eclipse or Visual Studio. So like this, it is a IDE, integrated development environment. So why we are using the RStudio? So it is a programming and statistical language. So it can be used to program to process analytical data. And we can use this RStudio for data analysis. The first one is programming and statistical language. We are using this. And the second one is data analysis and visualization. Okay, so we can use RStudio, which is one of the most popular tool used for data visualization. So the first one is for, it is a programming it's a programming and statistical language for data science. Two, it is a data analysis and visualization tool. And three, it is simple.
So, do we learn RStudio also in this class?
I may not cover RStudio, but I can give a high level insight because we are going to cover Python. Okay. If you want, I can cover and high level insight. I can give some example. Okay.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay. So it is easy to use and learn. Okay. So that's about RStudio. Any questions on data set? So we are talking about the different components that we have in data science. One, we talked about data set, which is more data. And the second one is the studio, which is integrated development environment. And the third one is big data. Okay. Okay, I think page is completed. Can I erase and open a new whiteboard? Is that fine, guys? Can you say yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the third one is big data. So big data is nothing but it's a huge collection of data. The term big data is collection of data sets so large and complex it becomes difficult to process using a database management tool and traditional data processing application. So it's a huge volume of data, so we cannot accommodate that in a DB, and we cannot use a traditional tool to process the data for the application. Okay, so we come with we cannot use a traditional software or tool to handle this huge data. So for that we are going with big data. Okay, and we can say large and complex data. Clear? And we cannot accommodate this data in relational database, so we need some software or tool to handle this big data. Okay, fourth one is Hadoop. So Hadoop is a framework which helps us to store and process this large data set in parallel and distributed fashion. Okay, this is from Apache. Okay, so we talked about big data, right? So we talked about big data, right? So we cannot use traditional softwares or database to handle this big data. So we are going with Hadoop. Hadoop provide an option to handle large and complex data, and it will solve this processing of large and complex data using a distributed mechanism. So it is going to process and store the data in a distributed fashion. Okay, so there are two key involved in Hadoop. One is how we are going to store and how we are going to process. So for both processing and storing, we are going to use a process called as distribution. We call it as distributed file system, and for Hadoop we are calling it as HDFS, Hadoop distributed file system. Okay, and the last one, but it is very important, which is Spark. I think most of you heard about this. Most of the people talking about this. We call it as Spark R. So it is an R package. So it is built from the R, and it is a lightweight way of using Apache Spark with R. Okay. We are like so usually we go with the R for analyzing and processing data for the traditional R application, right? Because it provides a distributed data frame implementation that support selection, filtration, aggregation of data and large data set. Okay, so Spark R is a lightweight way of using Apache Spark with R. So that will process data operation like data selection, data filtering, data aggregation, uh, and data modeling on a large data set. So these are the key components we have with data science. Any questions? Any questions on data science components? So next I'm going to talk about an high level insight uh, on different job roles that we have with data scientist. So we have data scientist, data engineer, data architect, data administrator, data analyst, business analyst, data and analytics manager, BI manager. So these are the different job roles for data scientist. And then the salary range varies from 115K to 140K approximately. So we talked about the overall program roadmap, and we talked about what are the topics that we are going to cover in each and every model. And then we talked about the fundamentals to understand why we need data science and what is data science and who is data scientist and what is the job trends and how to solve a problem in data science. And then we talked about what are the different components that we have in data science. And then we talked about what are the different data scientist job roles, right? So any questions, any queries on this before we move on to the next topic? Guys, any questions, any queries? Okay. So next we are going to talk about the, guys, please be more interactive. So you can unmute and you can say yes or no. So that way we can track. So everyone is in aligned. Okay. So let's move on. So next we are going to start with model 1. So in model 1, we are going to talk about the Python programming and how to control and process documents in data science, right? So we are going to start with Python programming. Let's get started. So let me clear this window. Okay. Guys, can you able to see the screen?
Yes.
We are going to talk about Python programming. So any of you have worked or any of you have get an idea about Python programming?
No.
No. Okay. Let's get started with a basic. Okay. So Python is a general purpose. It is an interrupted and interactive object-oriented high-level programming language. So we can say, so Python is an general purpose, interrupted, interactive, object-oriented programming language.
You're typing something?
Yeah, I'm typing in the whiteboard.
I don't see.
Oh, really? No, it's already, okay, let me stop share and screen share and then whiteboard. Let me know once you can see my
Yeah,
screen.
now I can see now. Yeah.
Okay, what about others? Can you able to see screen? Okay, so it's an general purpose, interrupted, interactive, object-oriented, high-level programming language, right? And it was, let me clear this. Interactive, object-oriented, high level programming language. And this was created by Dwight Rosen during the year 1985 and 1990. So this is like Perl and Python. Let me put this. So this is also an open source programming language. Okay, so it is its source code is available under the GNU General Public License. Okay, like Perl. So Perl is also a general public license programming language. Okay. Let's talk about how we can execute a Python program. Before that, I want to any one of you can, okay, let's first install Python. For that, I need a link. Give me a second, I will take the link. So I need one of you to share the screen. Please, who can share the screen so that I can walk through how to install Python. Do we have anyone to share the screen? Guys, I want one of you to share the screen. Who is going to share the screen? Who is that?
Yeah, I can share the screen.
Okay, 1 second.
Do you want me to start sharing now?
Yeah, and stop share. So I don't know how to give a control to someone. This is new for me.
Can you see my screen now?
Oh, you once if I stop, you can share, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. So is that Windows system?
Yes.
Okay. Can you go to the system?
Oh.
Go to the. I think you need to go to the web browser.
1 second.
Can you go to the browser?
Yeah.
And go to the python.org. python.org.
Yeah, 1 second.
And download the Windows version of Python.
Sorry. Okay. Where do I go here?
Yeah. Can you go to the download?
Yeah. This is the latest version?
Yeah, latest version. Guys, I would recommend others also follow the same, because I can do this for one person and others can also do a parallel installation.
Okay. So
So based on your Windows version, whatever.
this is Windows 80.
Okay, what is your Windows?
Windows 10. So I think I can go with this one. I think.
Yes.
Chip
Yes,
file.
I think you can go with x86 executable install. That should be straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. It
I
seems you
think.
have.
Yeah, I think I have it. So let
Yeah,
me.
you can upgrade to the latest version. That should be fine, so that you have latest. So we need to wait till it downloads. So guys, so please others also do the same, like so that we can do a parallel practice. So that way we can replace it. Yeah. Okay, close this. Yeah, can you close this? Okay, now go to your command prompt. Can you type Python? Okay, so you can see the Python version is being displayed. Okay, let's, sorry.
I said yes.
Okay. Guys, what about others? Are you able to install? I want to ensure all of us have this Python installed in our system, so that because we are going to do a lot of practice, so we need to have the system ready so that we can do the practice. What about others? Uh, Sharma, Lakshmi, Narayana, Pavan, Rahu, Sunil, Praveen, are you able to install? Do you have any concerns on installation? Okay,
Installing the console.
so you want me to hold on, or we can go ahead and
I
proceed?
you can go ahead, no worries.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's do a simple print statement and check whether it is working. Can you do a print space double quotation? Double quotation. Hi data scientist. No, within the double quotation, yeah.
Single quote or double quote?
Double quotation.
Okay. Hi. Enter.
Yep.
Invalid syntax.
Okay, let's do one thing. Give me a second. Can you exit this control key?
Exit.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's not exiting. Control is it?
Control.
Control Z or use exit method.
Okay. You want me to close the window or do you want me to try something?
Yeah, so let's do one thing. Can you type notepad?
Here?
Notepad,
Oh, here, okay.
notepad,
Uh-huh.
space.
Oh,
Okay. Okay, cool, no issues. Here, do one printf statement, print space.
print space. This is?
Yeah, save as script.py in the same location.
Script dot?
Can you save it in a location, C user Krishna?
Just yes. Here?
Yep, but you should not save it as text file. In the save type as all files,
Okay. Script dot.
script.py, because the Python scripts should be saved as py extension. Okay, you can give any name, but it should be script file name .py.
Okay.
Now go to the command prompt.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do a dir? Let's see whether the file is showing up here or not. Okay, you have the script.py, right? So let's execute Python space
Okay.
script.py. Okay, sorry. I think this was replaced in the new version. I think can you go to the notepad and use a bracket, square bracket. Yeah, no space. Print open bracket, double quotation. Save it. Now execute it.
Yeah.
Now can you go to the Python? I think the same thing issue with the other. Okay.
Okay. Now you're saying that print.
Yeah, try bracket. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are two different ways where we can execute the Python program. One is you can directly go to the runtime engine and you can execute the commands, or you can save that as a file, a script file with extension .py, and you want to execute, then you can use Python space that file name .py. So that will compile and execute the program. Clear?
Yeah.
I showed you both the mechanism, right? So
Yeah.
you can do Python runtime, or you can create a script file and then you can execute it. So with this, we are completing a simple program. How to write a simple program both in a script file as well as in the command prompt, and then we are done with the installation of Python in our system. Correct? Any questions on the installation? Any questions? Okay, so let me cover some key components in Python, and then we'll again move back to the practicals. So let me take the control. Can you? Okay. Let me take in whiteboard. Can you see the screen? Guys, can you able to see the screen? Can you say yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about a little bit overview on Python. So as discussed earlier, Python is an high-level object-oriented, interactive, and interpreted programming language, right? And it's a scripting language. And Python is designed to be highly readable, and we are using the English words. All the keywords that we use in the Python program is English words. Okay, and then we are calling Python is interpreted. So what is interpreted language? Any guess? What do we mean by interpreted language?
Can you repeat that console, please?
So we are saying Python is a high-level interpreted, interactive, and object-oriented scripting language, right? So what do we mean by interpreted language? So interpreted language is nothing but it is processed at the runtime. No, we don't need to compile the program before we execute. That is called as interpreted language. Okay, so Python is an interpreted language. Why? Because this is processed at the runtime by the interpreter. Okay, and this is similar to Perl and PHP, because PHP and Perl is same as like Python. It's a interpreted language, so we don't need to compile because we need to Python is processed at runtime using the interpreter. And then we are calling Python is interactive. So why we are calling this as interactive is we can use Python prompt and interact with the interpreter directly. I showed you, right? You can type Python so that you will get into the interpreter. You remember, Krishna, I told you, right, two mechanisms. One is we can directly enter into interpreter and we can execute the commands. And the other one is we can create a Python scripts file from where we can write a program and execute that program using Python space the script name, correct? So the first option is the interactive mode, where we enter directly into the interpreter and we are executing the program, right? Guys, are you clear? And then we are calling Python is a object oriented. So when we are calling object oriented, it's a object. There are two things, right? One is structure oriented programming language and procedure oriented programming language or object oriented programming language. So Python is a object oriented programming language, and it uses all the object oriented concepts like class, object, abstraction, inheritance, overriding, overloading. So all object oriented concepts are being inherited in the Python. So that's why we are calling Python is a object oriented programming language. Clear? And history of Python. Okay, it's a interpreter. Interactive object oriented programming language. Okay, so now history of Python. Python is developed from including ABC, modulo C, modulo 3, C, C++, Algol 68, Smalltalk, and Unix shell. So it is a derived language. It is not a brand new language. So Python is derived from different languages, especially ABC, C, C++, Smalltalk, Unix, Modular 3, and Algol 68. Okay. And Python was developed by Guido van Rossum in the late 80s and early 90s. Okay. And Python is copyrighted. Like Perl, Python is an open source. We already talked about that. It is published under GNU, which is General Public License. Python is now maintained by a code development team at the institute called as Research Institute for Mathematics and Computer Science in Netherlands. Any questions? And then we are going to talk about the features of Python. One, it's easy to learn. Two, easy to read. So it is easy to learn as well as it is easy to read, and it is easy to maintain. Okay. And Python is providing broad standard libraries, which is portable and cross-platform, and which is compatible for all the operating systems like Unix, Windows, and Macintosh. So it provides standard library. And then Python has interactive mode where we can directly interact with the interpreter. and Python is portable. What do we mean by portable? Portable is nothing much. It can run in wide variety of hardware platforms. Okay, and it has the same interface for all the platforms. That's why we're calling it as a portable. And it is extendable. So we can add low-level modules to the Python interpreter. Say for example, if you want to interact with C, C++, so we can add those models, and this model will help developer to add or customize the tool to be more efficient. Okay, and Python have access to all the major databases, and we have a GUI tool. Okay, so we have a GUI tool for the Python, which helps. We can make system calls, libraries, and Windows system like MFC, Macintosh, and X system of the Windows system. So it is having GUI programming. And then it is scalable. It's provide a better structure and support for larger programs than scripts. Okay, so these are the key features of Python. Other than that, it support functional and structural programming methods, as well as object-oriented programming support. And it can be used as a scripting language, or it can be compiled to a bytecode for building large applications. So we can use it as a scripting language, as well as we can use it as a compiled to bytecode for building large application. And then it has high-level dynamic data types and support for type checking. Okay, because whatever platform or programming language we are building, that should have a support for dynamic data types and support dynamic type checking. It is supported in Python. And it has a automatic garbage collection, which means allocating and deallocating memories of objects in the runtime memory. And then we can use Python to easily integrate C, C++, COM, ActiveX component, Corba, and Java. Okay, so these are the key features of Python. Any questions or any queries on the features? Guys, can you say yes or no?
No.
Okay. We saw basic program by entering a printf statement already. So we are going to discuss about, we are going more in detail and talk about some key components in Python programming language. So let me erase this and put a new text edit. Okay. We are going to talk about Python identifiers. So what is identifier? Identifier is nothing but a name that is assigned to a variable to uniquely identify. Okay, so Python identifier is used to identify a variable. Say for example, if I'm declaring a variable, I need to identify the variable. For that, I need a identifier. So that's why we are using Python identifier to identify a variable. So we can use Python identifier for variables, functions, class, module, sorry, okay, module, can use for class, function, variable, module, and other objects. Okay. So it is more like a naming a variable or a function or a class or a model or any other object so that you can uniquely identify that part, uniquely identify the particular object. So we can have a identifier starts with a letter, which could be A to Z, same like other programming language. We can use uppercase or lowercase, or we can use an underscore followed by 0 or more letters. And one more thing that we need to know here is Python doesn't allow punctuation characters like @ symbol, dollar symbol, and percentage as an identifier within identifier. So we should not use @ symbol or dollar symbol, percentage within the identifiers. And one key component is Python is a case sensitive programming language. Okay, so give me a
You there?
sorry, 1 second. So we are talking about identifier. So identifier is the name that we are assigning it to a variable, function, class, module, or other objects. Okay. And we are talking about the rules behind the identifiers. Okay. So an identifier will start with uppercase or lowercase alphabets and followed by underscore. Okay. And we should not use @ dollar and percentage within the identifiers. We already talked about that. And one more key thing is Python is a case sensitive programming language. So we should be very careful while we are naming and while we are accessing. Okay. So if we use, say for example, ABC with small letter, you need to access the same way, ABC small letter. If it is small, capital letter, we should access in the same way as a capital letter. Okay. We should be very careful on that. So it is a case sensitive programming language. Okay. So naming convention, so already we talked about that, right? So class name starts with uppercase. So if you take other programming languages like Java or enhanced programming language like Swift, C, C++. So this is like general thumb rule when we are declaring identifier for a variable, function, or any objects. So class name should always start with uppercase. All the other identifiers starts with lowercase. If you are not using a class, then we can use lowercase. If it is a class, then it should be uppercase. The first character should be uppercase. Okay. And then starting an identifier with a leading underscore indicate that is a private identifier. So we have two type of objects. One is private object, other one is public object. So if we want to declare a private object, then it should always start with underscore. So underscore indicate that is a private object. Okay. And starting an identifier with two leading underscore, which indicates strongly private. So we have public, we have private, and strongly private. We'll talk more in detail about this. So if you want to declare a public variable, then you can declare as it is. The only thumb rule is for class, it should be, the first letter should be uppercase. For others, variable, function, model, for other objects, you can start with small letters. Whenever we are declaring a private identifier, it should always start with underscore, which is nothing but private identifier. If we are declaring a strongly private identifier, then we need to use double underscore. This indicates it's a strongly private. And if we have an identifier that's end with two trailing underscore, which indicates the identifier is a language defined special name. Okay, so I will refer some of those in the program in down the line. Okay, so these are the way. So what we are understanding from here is whenever we are declaring a variable, class, object, function, we need to make sure we have a name for that, and how we need to name that, and what are all the different restriction and different rules that we need to follow when we are declaring a identifier. Clear? Any questions? Guys, any questions, any queries? Okay, let's move on. Next, we will talk about the reserved words. So we have these reserved words in most of the programming language. If you take C or C++ or Java, let me give an example. So we have a if statement, if, which is a reserved word. We cannot use that for identifier name. Okay, because that is defined for that particular platform to uniquely identify a special functionality. So we should not use that for naming conventions. Okay, so for that we need to understand what are all the reserved words that we have for Python. Okay, so for Python we have list of reserved words. I will quickly walk through and I will share the documentation. You can have a look into that later. Okay, so one is and, assert, break, class. Class is used to declare a class. Continue, def, delete, elif. Elif is nothing but else if. And then else, except, exec, which is nothing but execute. And then finally, that is used for try catch. And then for, from, global, if, import, in, is, lambda. Lambda is used for lambda expressions. And then not, or, pass, print, rise, return, try, while, with, yield. So these are the different keywords that we have with Python. Clear? Any questions? Okay. So next we are going to talk about lines and indentions. Okay. So Python provides no braces to indicate a block. If you take C, C++, you have open curly brace and closed curly braces, right? So that will indicate the block or a function or a class starts and ends. But in the case of Python, there is no open curly brace and closed curly brace, right? So we need to follow some strategy to uniquely identify a block since we don't have the option or support for curly braces. Okay. So Python provide no braces to indicate the block of code for class and function or even for if else or loop statements. So the space is going to play a major role. How many space we are keeping? Okay, so we need to be very careful in handling the spaces. Okay, so I will talk about the spaces. The number of spaces in the indentation is variable, but all the statements within the block must be indented the same amount. I will give an example. Indentation. If I'm taking a loop statement, true. For if and true, I give one space. Okay, and then I'm starting the statement, right? This is a block, so I'm starting the block from the first letter of true, so that way it will represent this is a block inside the if. Okay, say for example, true, else again same way. So since we don't have open call brace and closed call brace, so we need to manage the blocks using the spaces. Clear? Any questions?
I think the second P should be exactly underneath of the first P.
Sorry? Yeah, right, sorry. Yeah, good catch. Okay. Any questions? Shall we move on? Okay. Next one is multi-line statements. Multi-line statements. So in Python, statements, each and every statement in Python is typically in with a new line. Okay. So still, say for example, if you are starting, once you are done with the statement, if you go to the next line, it indicates the particular statement is completed. Okay. So if I want to start the second statement, I need to go to the next line and I need to start typing the statement. But if you want to continue the line continuation, say for example, if you want to have multi-line statements, then how we can do that? So let's take an example. Sample equal to item 1 plus. So I want to continue this statement in the next line also. Then I need to put slash. It indicates continuation of the statement. Then I'm going to the next line. Item 2 plus. Next line. And then item 3. Like this. So this indicates it's a continuation of the next line. Clear? Any questions, guys? Any questions? Shall we move to the next one? Okay. Let me erase this. So next we are going to talk about quotation. So Python accepts single quotation, double quotation, and triple quotations. Okay. So we are using this quotation to indicate a character, string, and start and end of a string like that. Okay. So if it is a word, single word, then we need to use single quotation. If it is a statement, meaning sentence, if it is a sentence, then we need to use double quotation. If it is a paragraph, then we need to use triple quotation. So if you have paragraph, it will go multiple lines. Like this. Okay. Let's move to the next one. These are simple topics I'm just covering. Comments. So if you want to add a comment, so we can use hash. Hash is a sign for comment. Okay. So if we have blank line, say for example, if I have a line which doesn't contain anything, we call it as a blank line. If a line contains only white space, Python will treat that as a comment. Okay, we can call it as blank line, or Python totally ignores it. Okay. Let's do one exercise. How we can wait for user to give an input. So I need one of you to share the screen. So who can share the screen? Guys, I need one of you to share the screen to run through one program. Okay, share the screen.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, so I will stop sharing.
So, what do you want me to share?
Yep, share the screen.
I want to share the command prompt or notepad? Or...
Command prompt.
Okay.
Perfect. Now, go to the interactive mode. Yeah, here, raw underscore input. Open bracket, double quotation, /n,
Sorry.
/n,
Oh, okay.
backslash, sorry,
It's good.
backslash
Oh,
n.
black slash. Okay.
It's a new line.
Yeah. 2 times.
Yes.
Okay. New line. Yeah.
Press the enter key to exit.
Press enter.
Press enter key to exit. Just text.
Oh, okay. Huh. So, do you want me to write something?
No, what I'm trying to say is press the enter key to exit.
Enter key to exit. Do you want me to type this?
Yes. It's just information. Label.
Okay. Okay.
Enter. Oh, I think you need to include the model, which is not there. Okay. Okay, I will talk about this later. Okay, let's move. Okay, hold on for a second. Okay, now let's open a exit from here because it's not having the the libraries that will be important.
No. Okay. So, you want me to close it?
Exit, open bracket, close bracket.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now open that script PY file we have created already.
Python, right?
Uh-huh.
Python script.
No. We need to edit the program. First open in Notepad. So,
Oh, okay. Got it. Can you see that?
no, Notepad is not visible to me.
Oh, probably I. Can you see now?
Yes, I can see it now.
Yeah.
So delete this statement. Declare, sorry, okay, var var1 space equal to 1.
Var equal to 1.
Yeah, but you can give it as 1, variable 1.
Okay.
And one thing you remember, we should give first letter capital only for class, not for the variables.
Okay.
Go down. var2 No, it's a different name. You're giving same name.
Oh, okay, okay. Var1, okay.
Okay, var2 equal to 2.
Okay.
Now print var1 and print var2. var1
Oh, okay. Var1.
and in the next line print var2. So this is how we need to declare the variable. So you don't need to specify the data type. So this is the best part in Python. So based on the value that we assign, it will automatically convert into the corresponding data type. Clear? You don't need to explicitly declare int space var1 equal to 1. So it is dynamically identifying the data type. Based on that, it will define the data type and allocate the memory. I think you gave capital letter, it should be small letter. That's why we talked, right? Python is case sensitive.
Good.
Yeah, Python space.
Yeah.
Okay. So the best part that we need to understand here is, so how to declare a variable. We know how to declare a variable, but typically when we are from C, C++ or Java background, so usually we declare a variable name starts with the data type. Say for example, int space var1 space equal to space 1, correct? Here in Python, you don't need to specify the data type because it will automatically convert the variable into the data that was assigned to it. Okay, we don't need to explicitly specify the data type. Okay, now can you go to the program?
Yeah.
Go to the last line. del space var1 and then print var1. Now save and execute. Okay, so what is the issue we are getting? Any guess?
So since we are deleting that, then it is unable to print it again. Is that right?
Perfect. So deleting is nothing but we are deallocating that variable from the memory. Clear? Can you comment that delete statement? Have hash in front of that. That will treat it as a comment here. Now execute. Now execute. Clear?
Yep.
So delete is a keyword that is used to delete the allocated memory for that particular variable. So once you have deleted and if you try to access that, it will say the variable is not defined. Correct?
So if you look at the program, so you are asking to print variable 1, print variable 2, then delete it, then print it. So you will not execute all the 4 commands?
It's a runtime execution, right? So first it will interrupt. If it found any issue, then it will throw it.
Okay, so usually in the memory itself, it is printing 1, 2 and deleting 1, and then once it is deleted, so there is no 1 again.
Yes, there is no compilation. That's what we are.
Okay.
So
Got it.
the runtime execution, right? That's why we call Python is a interrupted programming language.
So there is no compile and running. So in the other languages, you compile that so that it will give you the one the result would be
Binary.
1, 2, 1 and deleted 1. Then running is only give you a 1 or
Correct.
maybe 2.
Yes. So
Yeah.
here it is not that way. It is not
Yeah.
compiling. It is directly interrupting
Yes,
using
yes.
the interrupter.
Right.
Clear? Uh, Next one we are going to talk about is, so what are the different types of numerical data types supported in Python? So Python supports integer, which is signed integer, and then it supports long, which is a long integer, which also represented in octal and hexadecimal, and then it supports float, which is a floating point value, and then it also supports complex numbers. So real number plus imaginary numbers. Okay. So next we will talk about Python string. So can you go to the, can you create a one new file called as string.py, string example.py. Yeah. So declare a
1 second. Save as, what do you want? What do you say?
String example.py. No. It should be all fine.
Sorry?
Save type. You should always.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Programming language.
Yes. So, yeah, what do you want me to type?
Create a variable str. Okay, whatever, equal to have if it is a word, then we need to give a single quotation hello space world. Okay, go to the next line. Print var. Go to the next line. Execute. Save and execute.
Oh,
I got a question from Raghu. Why can't we install an NDK like Python? Yeah, so I'm going to talk about that, Raghu. But it is always better to go with Python, command prompt. You will leverage a lot. If you go to IDE, then we used to with UI tool.
why it is saying it is not there?
Where you save that file, just do a dir and see whether it is saved in that particular location. Because if the file is not there, then it will get this issue. Yeah, it is there.
Yeah, it is there, yeah.
Can you execute?
So, Python, okay, sorry, I misspelled it. SRTING.
Okay.
X.py, okay.
Python spelling wrong.
Python dot. Yeah.
Okay, now you go back. Print var square bracket of 1. It will print the first character. Okay, from the index. It's always start with 0, 1, so it will print E. Okay?
Yeah. So do you want me to
Yeah.
comment this?
No, before that we'll quickly execute it. Yeah, quickly execute it. Okay. Because hex starts with 0 and the 1 would be E. Okay. Okay, go to the next one. Print str square bracket. Sorry, variable. Variable square bracket 2:4.
2:4. Okay, 2 to 4. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Square bracket. Okay.
Yeah.
So that print copy paste that same line, the last line, remove the 4. Save and execute.
Yeah.
So if it didn't specify a range, it will take from there. Go back. Print is where into 2.
Sorry.
Print where into space space asterisk, yeah, space 2, close back, execute.
Yeah.
It will do 2 times.
One second. Just trying now.
Okay. Yeah, you can try it.
No. New line. No, it's not working. Sorry. New line should be here.
No, you cannot put new line in when you are performing an operation.
Okay.
Go to the next line. Print var plus space plus.
Okay. Yeah.
No, you put 2 plus.
Plus space.
No, space and then plus. See, thing is, white space is major role in here. Okay, whenever you are performing operation, it should
Okay. Yeah, got it. So
space.
I was doing with the SQL thing like a concatenation thing. Okay, got it now. Okay.
Okay, got it. Okay, space, double quotation. Just give some variable. Yeah, close it. This is concatenation.
Okay.
So
I can
these are-
do. I can do the same thing, right? Like a where plus where.
Yeah.
Let's see this one. So. Oh, there is no space.
I will talk about how your point is how to introduce space between that, right?
Yeah.
I will talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So here you're trying to say is like this. So yeah, it will come up like a hello world ABC.
Here you can in front of plus. In before plus, can you put a double quote? No. Before that. Okay. Yeah. What I want to say is put slash n within double quotation. Yeah. No. Slash n, backslash n. Within double quotation. Within double quotation.
Yeah.
Backslash n. Yep.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can we do the same thing with the
Yep.
two variables? Okay. So we could not do that, right? So here.
No, you can do it.
So again variable
Yep.
plus or something again. Where does it work?
No, in that case, you need to put slash n within double quotation and then plus, one more plus.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Concatenating things.
This.
Yep. And then plus. And then
This
plus.
take it as a string, right? Does it take it as a?
And then plus.
You want to try?
Give a space. See, that's why I keep on repeating. Python space is very, very important.
Yeah.
White space is very, very important.
Good.
Yep. Here you go.
Yep.
I know if you are from Java, C program, this is going to be very simple, but people who are new to this program or programming language, that's why I'm going step by step. But if you are expertised in C, C++, Java, I know this is going to be very simple and you may think get bored, but still we need to accommodate the other people. So that's why I'm going step by step, okay?
Yeah, I'm not from the programming background, so.
Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, so with this, we'll complete today's session. In next session, we'll talk more in detail about the Python programming.